For this particular problem, what we're going to do is we're going to establish a preference schedule. The problem reads, the given table shows the preference schedule for an election with 5 candidates. Find the complete ranking using the method of pairwise comparisons, assuming that ties are broken using the results of the pairwise comparisons between the tying candidates. Each winner of the pairwise comparison will receive 1 point. The loser receives none, and in the event of a tie, each receives half a point. For this particular problem, we have to notice that there are 5 candidates. It is stated in the problem that there are 5 candidates, but we can also verify that by looking right here. There are 5 candidates. So that means that n is equal to 5. And the number of comparisons that we need to make is going to be given by the following formula. And that's going to be n times n minus 1 divided by 2. And since n is 5, we're going to end up with 5 times 5 minus 1 over 2, which will be equal to 20 over 2, which is equal to 10. So we will be making 10 comparisons. These are the comparisons that we're going to make. We're going to make comparisons from candidate AVB, AVC, AVD, AVE. Then we'll look at candidate B, BVC, BVD, and BVE. Then candidate C, CVD, and CVE. And then finally candidate D, DVE. This encompasses all the different comparisons that we can make between the candidates. What we're going to do is look at this particular table, and then we're going to break it down according to which candidate in the comparison wins the column. What I've done here is gone ahead and used the table and circled the A's and the B's in each column. A is in red, B is in blue, and we'll see which columns show which candidate was favored in that particular election. We'll note that in column number 1, B was favored. In column 3, B was favored. And then finally, in column 6, B was also favored. We'll see that A was favored in column 2, column 4, and column 5. So that means that we're going to total up the number of votes. Notice that there were 17 total votes in this column, so that means that B ends up with 17 votes from the first column. We had 11 votes in the second column for B, so B has 11 votes. And then in the final column, there were 5 votes that went for B. And this is the number of votes over the other candidate. So we're going to assign those to that candidate, which means that candidate B actually has 33 votes going for him in this particular setup. And then we're going to do that for A. In the second column, the fourth column, and the fifth column, we see that A ends up with these votes. So we have 13 in the second column, 7 in the fourth column, and then 6 in the fifth column. And then we're going to add those together and get 26. Now we'll note that in this particular case, B wins, so therefore B is going to be awarded 1 point. And A is awarded 0 points. So now we know that B has 1 point, A has 0. Okay, so now we'll look at A versus C, and we'll see from our columns that the first 3 columns A was the preferred candidate, and in the last 3 columns C was the preferred candidate. So what are the numbers? In this fourth column, we're going to award C 7 votes. In the fifth column, C will be awarded 6 votes. And then in the final column, 5 votes, which is going to give me a total of 18 votes. Then for A, we're going to be looking at the first, second, and third column. And we'll look at this and say, okay, A has 17, second column is 13 votes, and then the third column is 11 votes. Then we're going to add that together and get 41 votes total. And we'll note that A will be awarded a point and C will not be awarded any points. So we will award 1 point to A. Okay, for this one we'll see that D takes precedence in the first column, the third column, and the fourth column. The fifth column. And so that means that we'll assign 17 plus 11 plus 6, which is going to yield 34. And then for A, we'll see that that takes precedence in the second, fourth, and sixth column. So we're looking at 13 plus 7 plus 5, which is going to be 25. So we will go ahead and award 1 point for C and no points for A. Now we'll see that in the comparison of A and E, E wins in the first and the fifth column, and A wins in the other 4 columns. So that means that E gets 18 votes and A gets 36 votes, which means that E will get 0 points and A will get 1 point. And then we will continue to do this so that we can total up our numbers. Now when we compare B and C, we see that B only wins in the first and third column, and C wins in the other subsequent 4 columns. So that means that C will be awarded 1 point, and then B will not be awarded any points for this one. Okay, so now we're going to compare B and D. We see that B takes wins the columns of 1, 4, and 6, and D wins columns 2, 3, and 5. D will add up to 30 votes, B adds up to 29, so D will be assigned 1 point. For the next comparison of B versus E, we'll see that B has a total of 40 votes and E has 19, so B will be awarded the 1 point. In the pairwise comparison of C and D, we'll see that D ends up with 34 votes, C ends up with 25 votes, so that means that D will get 1 point and C will get no points, and we will add that to the total tally. Alright, and for this next to last one, we're comparing C and E. We'll see that E tallies up 30 votes and C tallies up 29 votes, so therefore E will get the 1 point and C will get no points. And now for the final. This is our final comparison, candidate D versus candidate E, and we'll see that candidate E handily has more votes than candidate D, so candidate E will be awarded 1 point. So then all that's left to do is to tally up and see how things wash out. Candidate A had 2 points. Candidate B had 2 points. Candidate C had 1 point. Candidate D had 3 points. And then candidate E also had 2 points. Notice that we have a tie between candidate A, candidate B, and candidate E, so we now need to hash out which one comes in first. We'll note that in the comparison of B versus E, B had 40 votes and E had 11 votes, so therefore B wins. In the comparison between candidate B and candidate A, we'll see that B had 33 votes and A had 26 votes, so therefore B wins again, which means that right now the way everything is shaping up is since D had 3 points, D is going to be first. Then B, since B is tied with E and A, but as far as the total number of points here, 2 points, but B beat E and also A in the grandstands of our points. So then next we're going to have to compare what A and E did, and if we look at A versus E, we'll see that A had 36 votes and E had 18 votes, so A wins. And that would mean that A would be next in line, then E, and then C. And that will be our order.